Hello and welcome to another episode of the Paperstac podcast. My name is Brett Burky. This is Rick Allen.
That's me.
That is us. And so, back again. I've been wearing the same shirt over and over again. Or we're just doing two back to back.
How many did you buy? You own like that same shirt 6 times over?
No, it stands out the loudest in my closet. That's what it is. It's just the loudest shirt, you know?
Everyone's got that t-shirt, dude. Like, I just love that shirt.
It just feels good.
It feels good. It's right.
Yeah.
Everything's good. So what's up, man?
So we're going to talk about something that I, of course, love is when it comes to SEO and marketing and all the things I like. I like tools. Tools. And someone actually tried to give me the nickname as the digital marketing tool guy. And I was like, that's kind of insulting. And I was like, you're going to call I was like, I don't know if I like being called the tool guy. So I was like, I was like, no, I don't like that name. But needless to say, I like tools, and so I always like, finding new things and messing with it and tweaking it.
You like little shiny objects, new ones that pop up, like, oh, look at this little software as a service I can use. Or
I mean, it's funny, I'm saying this, and actually on the way in I was listening to a podcast about, or is it a Linda video about AI tools for marketing. They have them for creating your customer personas, and they have them for this, and so they was going through all the different marketing. None of them really kind of, I was like, yeah, ChatGPT can, they basically give interfaces to a ChatGPT response. Mm-hmm. They make it pretty, but like, whatever, still use that. They're all using the same thing. So, but when you were on stage at DME, I remember David asked you guys about the different tools, and because I just hadn't thought of that, I was like, well, that's actually an interesting question to ask. Like, because I was wondering what you were going to say. I was going to say, I thought maybe it was going to be Podio, but you had a different response to everything, and I was like, that's actually probably a pretty good topic, because we talked about it for maybe, or I didn't talk about it, you guys talked about it for maybe 5 or 10 minutes about different things, and David chimed in with different things that he does for, different tools he uses, and I was like, oh, that could go pretty deep. So I was like, that could actually make a pretty interesting topic, at least for somebody getting in, knowing which one I want to go with, this one or that one. And so something like that. So I figured, what the heck, I'll run that by Rick and see if I can kind of pick his brain for tools he's used over the years, what he likes about them, what he doesn't. So go ahead, start it off. What do you like?
Oh, man. So we've used a lot of stuff. I think the one thing that you're going to find that you're just never going to get away from is a spreadsheet. Whether it's Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, those are the kind of like the two, really, right?
Yeah.
The two that you use. I know there's Sheets for, is it Sheets for Mac? Numbers, yeah.
Numbers is not anything like Excel.
No. So it's like Excel or Google Sheets. And like at the beginning we did Excel. I like Excel. You can set up big macros. You can tie things together. If you have a database inside of the Microsoft ecosystem, what is it, like Microsoft?
OneDrive?
Yeah, there's a database tool. I forget what it is. We don't.
Oh.
Anyways, you can tie things together and you can sync things up, and it's really good. So, but anyways, you're going to need to have one. You're going to have some sort of tool as a spreadsheet, because you build calculators in there, you build all kinds of things. But 2, you better have some knowledge on how to use it.
Unlike me.
Yeah, you're not very good at it. How do you subtract these 2 numbers? And I'm like, ooh.
It's been decades, man. I never really used Excel that much. Yeah.
Anyway, so become proficient at that. Take a course at your, library. Most libraries will offer those sort of courses, or just use Google and ask it to do it. How do I do this? That's how I always do. It's like, here, let me Google that for you. How do I make, if there's something complex? And once you start getting in there and playing around with it, you can start using the if-and statements, or statements, and just VLOOKUPs and all these other things. But Excel or a spreadsheet is something else. You're going to want to have a place where you're storing, like a centralized location to store files, right? So it's your day-to-day files that you're using, your calculators, your spreadsheets of that sort of thing, maybe contracts. Obviously, you're going to need word processor, like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, something like that. But you're going to need to store all that stuff in a central location. You're also going to need a place to store collateral files and assets, We always have, we didn't store the physical collateral files with us. We did at the beginning, but eventually we found a document custodian. Somebody that we could give to them our physical files and they would hold them and put them into their fireproof safe, and then if we needed them, we can just order them and they get shipped out. But you'll need a place to store your digital files, and we would always do that with all of our collateral. We always had them imaged at index, so that way if we ever needed to reference something, we always had it right there. So place to store your stuff, a place, and then of course the spreadsheets and word processors. Next thing you're going to need is like a CRM type system.
Right.
And it's not just a CRM for the potential customers or people you do business with. It's really for asset management. And we used Podio for the longest time, just because there was a lot of opportunity to make it your own.
Right.
You can build your own sort of apps within Podio, and it's really a place where you need to, you buy an asset. Where do I put it? I put it here. I go to that. There's links to, we use Dropbox for a long time. Dropbox is where we stored all of our files, so there was always a link to the Dropbox folder. There was a link to any spreadsheets with it. There was a link to documents that were important. Communication happened in there. Task management happened in there. So that CRM is extremely important as just a workflow management, because you can set timelines, you can track the progress. It's like your hub for when you're managing one asset, 2 assets, 10 assets, 100 assets. The more assets you get, the more important it is to have that sort of hub for asset management. And that's going to, I hear some people use Salesforce.
That's a lot.
Salesforce is a huge program, but they've adopted it and started using it for asset management. So you really have to do that. You have to have a place to track your costs, whether that's a spreadsheet or QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to identify them and say, if I've got 10 assets, what cost is this for? So you know what you're into each asset for. If you're doing an asset-based approach to investing.
Did you use QuickBooks or?
Ultimately, everything funneled up in the QuickBooks, yeah.
Right.
But we had some repetitive tasks. You don't know what you don't know when you set it up, and we set up a Frankenstein of a tracking system at the beginning with each asset had its own individual spreadsheet, and there was a macro button on there, and if I hit it, it updated our master pipeline.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, once you get in there and start fooling around and doing it, you're like, oh, I wish I could add this, or I wish I could add that.
I wish I could add in Excel.
Yeah.
I know how to add in Excel.
Yeah, well, you didn't know how to subtract, and it's the...
No, it's equals sum, link, hit enter.
Right. So tools that we use now, AI.
Yeah.
We use technology like that all the time, right?
But not so much for running your portfolio, though.
No, not necessarily for that, but for generating. It's a tool that I use on a daily basis.
Right.
I mean, it's a daily basis tool for me. Our AI provider's down right now, and it's like,
No.
it's like, dang it.
Michael's.
So you can still do, get business done without it. But so let's look at this. You got to have some other tools. You want to have something like a Paperstac, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where can I go find inventory? Where can I go sell inventory? Good news is with our next version of Paperstac, there's going to be so much AI baked in there that it's going to really streamline a lot of the process of trading.
That'd be cool. That'd be real cool.
Try to think if there's anything else that pops up that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a tool, but you definitely want like a service or somehow to actually collect.
Yeah. Loan servicer, definitely somebody who's gonna.
That's not a tool, but it's a service. But at the same time, it falls under the tool guidelines because you have to have a way to collect the money. So,
really, I mean, the main tools are the.
those sound pretty standard. I mean, I think probably everyone has a copy of Excel, Word.
Yeah, and we're
Dropbox.
like Google. The nice thing about Google Sheets is if you're not doing anything, let's face it, like Microsoft Excel is sort of
that's de facto.
That's like the high standard of everything, right? If you can go into Google Sheets, it's nice because you've got Google Drive, Sheets, Docs, everything can tie in there. If you're using Gmail, whether it's G Suite or just straight Gmail, it's easy to link docs for, mail merges, stuff like you can just do a lot of different stuff there. Become proficient at using, if you're not using that, become proficient at using Excel and Word.
Yeah, I might take a LinkedIn learning course on Excel.
You should.
It just doesn't excite me, but that's one I have to do in the morning because
that's a good point. You said LinkedIn. There's some other tools you have networking tools, right? You've got LinkedIn networking tools. You've got like a Bigger Pockets. You've got the Facebook groups. Paperstac has one. There's other groups out there. Mm-hmm. Some people, we were talking about AI. People use AI to create data scrapers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So there's just, AI is definitely something you'll bake in there, but I mean, there's just more tools that become available every single day,
Yeah. Yeah, I used to be, when I was really in all the tools, and still am, is producthunt.com. That's one I always check out. They'd always have some cool new tools that you could, more marketing stuff, but,
There's asset management tools with regards to doing property preservation. Mm-hmm. Those are all tools you're going to use. If you're getting started, you're really just focusing on, look, where am I going to store my data? Do I have access to spreadsheets and all that stuff? Do I have a template, or am I creating it from scratch? Those are
that makes sense.
So and then the CRM is going to be key, because when you start purchasing assets, the more you purchase and your team grows, you're going to need a place to communicate.
Right.
And you can do that with Podio. We use Slack also to instant message back and forth kind of. But really, Podio kind of would solve a lot of those problems. Because I haven't seen, I've seen people try to make that asset management platform. I haven't dabbled enough in them out there, but the first couple that came out were just like,
I mean, Podio is just so flexible.
It is.
You can create whatever you want. I mean, it can be an asset management tool, or it can be something else.
And you can hook it up to generate contracts. You can make Podio do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, right. Back in the day, Podio went to PandaDoc. PandaDoc went to something else, and they had a whole workflows.
Oh,
Zapier.
Zapier is a good one.
Yeah.
Zapier is a good tool to get familiar with, because it'll allow you to connect different web apps or different APIs together without having a technical background. So, for instance, you could say, I really need to generate a contract. I've got all the information over here in Podio. Maybe it's a lien release, or maybe it's a deed in lieu. If you've had all that drafted and you're not using an attorney to do it or whatever, you can just click a button if you set it up, and it'll go ahead and you can have a Zapier, or it's called a Zap, where it'll start connecting documents and generating documents, and you can have workflows set up to where it'll go to DocuSign and immediately gets sent to them. And so we did a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Our first time using it was just literally getting people to sign NDAs. I'm like, how am I going to generate 180 of these NDAs on people that want to buy our assets? Mm-hmm. It was like, you got to go through this web form, which generated the NDA, which put them into our CRM, which kicked them a document to sign through DocuSign. And it was just like, you set it up once, and then it kind of works, which is fantastic.
Well, cool. And so overall, to recap, we need something to do the calculations with, such as Excel.
Yeah.
You gotta have someplace to store the asset files, something like Dropbox. Mm-hmm. Or Google Drive. You have to have someplace to find assets, something like Paperstac. And when you're ready to sell, you got to have something like Paperstac to sell it.
Mm-hmm. And the CRM to manage everything. And then if you really want to be super ninja, get yourself a Zapier account and connect a lot of these together. Because there's a new one out there, I haven't tested it yet, but my friend's like crazy about it. It's called Make.com. And she was using it to do, it will not only is it like having one Zap, it's like connecting 10 Zaps. It's insane. I was like, watching it live, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's going from here. She did it for a podcast. Shoot my podcast, throw it into this folder. That folder now transcribes it, picks out the best parts of it, makes LinkedIn posts from it, and does this and schedules it all in like Buzzsprout, whatever, and then shoots the video and puts it on YouTube. I was like, holy crap. It was like a whole workflow. She sent it to me. I have to really dig into it. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so.
All right then, well.
That's it for this edition of the Paperstac Podcast. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you want a topic for us to cover, let us know. And like I said, stay tuned. We will have the brains behind the operation here of the tech side of stuff, at least. The guy who does all the developing, Mike, will be jumping on the podcast next episode.
Yeah.
To go through technology and how's it's changing things, and really the efficiencies it adds and what's on the horizon. So we will catch you on the next episode. Take care.
See ya.